Started. A bill seeking to exclude anyone who has acted as president for 2 years from serving 2 full terms has passed the second reading in the House of Representatives. That means that if you have acted in the capacity of acting president or acting governor, you cannot then present yourself for elections and serve 2 terms, making 10 years. That is what this bill is talking about. Now, this bill was sponsored by the Deputy Speaker in the House of Representatives. So it's gone through second reading and it looks like it just might be passed. So what do we think about all this that's going on? We have 2 legal practitioners in the House, and we are expecting a 3rd commentator to join us. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Oscar Onwudiwe. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Onwudiwe is also a social commentator. We also have Mr. Fred Nzeako. Good morning.
Good morning.
Of course, this is all about the law, isn't it? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, let me begin with you, sir. What do you think about this bill?
First, they're doing their job. We want to be grateful for that. The National Assembly is to make laws. But when you, at that process of making the law, there's always a question we ask. What is the spirit behind it? What do they intend to achieve? In the first place, I wondered when I heard that how come this is our priority at this time? I also heard some people were playing with the idea of having just 5 years, 1 term only, and let it be that way. And I was asking myself, I wish one of them would have been here to let us know what is driving this at this time. I believe there are other things to be doing, but I do not think, maybe there's another fear. The fear may well be that another Yaradua may happen, in which case somebody may act and then the person should not have another 2 terms. I really don't know what is driving this.
Can the person have 1 term?
Oh, of course, yes. I don't think they're against that. You can have 1 term after,
okay.
But then
making 6 years.
Making it 6 years. If you, that is, if you acted for 2 years.
Yeah.
But you could also act for 1 year.
Or
then it
6
makes
months.
it 5 years or 6 months.
Yeah.
And then it makes it that. But the question is, what do they want to achieve?
Well, we did try to reach out to them. But again, sometimes you actually wonder if they want to talk to us, Nigerians.
Yes.
Because they're always very busy when we reach out to them. A few of them reach out to us and say, okay, I'm ready to come, but it's quite tough to reach them. But Mr. Nzeako,
yes,
what do you think?
I think the same way Oscar thinks. My big brother Oscar Onwudiwe. I think the same way he thinks, because in every law you go beyond the surface to look at the spirit of the law.
Correct.
Because it is the spirit of the law that is the underlying foundation of that law. And it is this understanding the spirit of the law gives you a clear understanding of the intendment of the law. What does the law intend to achieve? And just like he said, why now, when there are so many laws that need to be made to pull Nigeria out of the current economic quagmire, social doldrum, and the societal annihilation that our system is undergoing as at now. So why do you now begin to talk about that? Meanwhile, the promoter of the bill said he got inspiration from America. You know, the 22nd Amendment of American Constitution that happened on March 21, 1947, 171 years after American independence. And how many years have we achieved? And if you are now, how many even acting presidents have we had in our national history? How many acting governors have we had in our national history? And the law itself has also not taken care of the realities on ground with respect to what happened in 2003, when recall that in 1992, some civilian governors were sworn into office in January 1992, and then they were removed from office in November 1993. And by the time some of them came back to power in 1999, after exhausting the first term in 2003, they wanted to run for the second term, and they were told no, the first one will be counted for you as your first term, and they went to court. And there was a decision of Supreme Court. The matter went up to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said that when you interpret the issue of tenure, the tenure was truncated, and as such, you cannot count that as having exhausted their tenure. And that was why they were allowed to run. A typical example was somebody like Reverend Jolly Nyame, who was first civilian governor of Taraba State in 1992, left in 1993 when Abacha took over, and there was a military reintroduction in government, and then he came back in 1999 and ran till 2003 after the Supreme Court decision, going by the interpretation given to Peter Obi's approach to court. And then he was allowed to run, and he now ran again and ended his tenure in 2007. Historically, when you look at the Nigerian system, you begin to ask yourself, what exactly do we need at this point in time? Would the National Assembly be so much worried about the issue of tenure than they should be worried about the issue of hunger in the stomach of Nigerians, about the issue of employment among Nigerian youths, about the issue of insecurity in Nigerian environment, and about the issue of even deepening our democratic experience?
Okay. Part of this bill also seeks to ensure that the president and the governors, when they're putting forward nominees for posts of minister or commissioners, in the state of, in the case of states, attach portfolios to the names. Do you think that this is a more important thing for them to be discussing than issue of, if you have acted, you cannot stay 8 years more?
Well, I try to be very careful when I'm talking about these people. We see clearly what their priorities are. It's obvious to us that, look, it's not what we're thinking. We have better problems. We're thinking about restructuring this country and making this country work. But they are still looking at the reality of what is, and that is the country is structured for consumption. So they are bothered about, so who takes and who doesn't take.
Who takes what?
They are bothered about how to make this country become productive, which is what we all need, but they want consumption. So that's the kind of law they should be making. It's embarrassing, actually. It is embarrassing. But the aspect of attaching portfolios probably makes sense. It does make sense, because today you begin to, if you look through the social media, they tell you, those who think the government is not working, they say, look at the people who are manning certain positions and look at their qualifications and experience. And then how do you expect them to perform miracles? I mean, if a lawyer has to handle an engineering work, and probably another social scientist is handling another type of thing, how do you expect it to work? While you have a lot of other qualified Nigerians. Maybe that, in that case, maybe they're trying to be patriotic. And again, we never really know. Because that's why my friend was talking about the spirit. What is behind this whole thing? All I see in my own naive way is your turn. You've had enough, so it should be another person's turn.
Isn't that looking at it the same way they are looking at it? Wouldn't you be looking at another way? I mean, for instance, why bother about the length of time? Shouldn't we be thinking about the
quality of
what
the person can give?
Aha.
I was looking at a situation where they should be passing a law. If you want, that is, in other words, let us have a code of standards for anybody who wants to aspire to public office. And every Nigerian will know about it. So if you get up and say, I want so and so office, first we will see that you meet the criteria. But they're not discussing that. And that's what we need most, because that way you have the best of us representing the rest of us. Unlike now, where, of course, you know that some of the worst of us